Welcome in, everyone, to the Pennant Grace, our second live episode. And I think we've lost count of how many episodes we've actually done.
Yeah, it's just good to be back.
It is good to be back.
It feels like it's been a long time.
I know. It's only been a week. I know you guys have missed us. We've missed you. I've been at the beach. You've been at camp.
Yeah.
Lots of fun summer activities.
It has been. What have we missed?
Oh,
Not much.
Not much.
Really? Braves win. Braves lose.
Braves win.
Braves win again. Braves lose again. People are kind of, getting a little antsy. We're going to get into all that today.
We are. We've got a fun list of things to get into. But like we said, it's nice to be back in the swing of things. We're in the main studio again. So this makes 2 episodes in a row. Are you missing our old quaint little corner?
I am a little bit. Who signed off on this anyway? Who approved us to be here?
I think it was more of a ask for forgiveness, not permission.
We're taking over.
But so far it's working.
Yeah.
So we're not going to change anything there.
It looks good in here, though.
It does.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, we have
like
a nice
that.
new background courtesy of Scott Forrester. We couldn't do a lot of things around here without Scott Forrester.
We could not function without Scott Forrester.
All that to say, we are excited to be here. Win-loss record-wise, not much has been taking place in the last week since we have been here. But it looks like we're on a pretty good trajectory. What do you think?
Yeah, so you said it last time we were together. It's basically the same. Braves are at 35-25. They're 7.5 back of Philadelphia. Phillies, by the way, 44-19. How good of a record is that? The Phillies and the Yankees have the 2 best records in baseball. I don't keep up with a lot of the American League, but man, are the Yankees hot right now too. Phillies have won 3 in a row, so they're continuing to win. They've started to have some injuries and things of that nature. We know that we've talked at length about their schedule, but they're continuing to win. So won last night, that being Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Got 3 more, another 4-game with the Nationals. You got 3 more against the Nationals, and then you were at Baltimore, at Tampa. At Baltimore, and then you've got Tampa and Detroit. So you've got Baltimore's a very good team,
right?
Without question, one of the best teams in the American League. And then you've got a couple of 500 teams. In fact, Tampa and Detroit may be exactly 500 as we record this today. So you've got a couple of teams. Obviously, the Nationals are below 500.
3 from us last week.
Yeah, you do have a chance to gain some ground against not elite teams, and so you got to take advantage of doing that.
One thing that is encouraging for Braves country is the Nationals are actually worse at home than they are on the road. After last week when the Nats came to town and shook things up a little bit, could have some comfort that they're actually not as good in D.C. And it'll be the first time since 2018 the Braves have lost if they do drop a game. Yeah. So we're hoping to keep that streak alive.
Yeah. After this Nats series, there is a day off. And then, like I said, you have those 3 series and then an off day again, not till the 20th.
Yeah. Well, let's circle back and let's talk about Mr. Ronald Acuna Jr. As we're sure you guys are all well aware of, he did undergo surgery in Los Angeles, and that's where he will be for the next month at least. Could be longer, but that's where he'll be recovering. And I looked at his doctor's stat sheet, if you will.
Yeah.
He's very impressive.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Ozuna-esque numbers for Dr. Neil. I'm just going to call him by his first name because I'm not sure how to pronounce that second name.
Dr. Neil Elatrache, that's what we're going to go with.
That sounds right.
He is the head team physician for the Dodgers and the Rams. I'm going to give you guys a list of names of who he has performed surgery on. Deshaun Watson, Clayton Kershaw, Manny Machado, Aaron Rodgers, Shohei Ohtani, and of course performing the first ACL surgery for Ronald Acuna.
Yeah, so Ronnie's going to stay there in L.A. for the initial part of his recovery and rehab. And so we'll kind of see how it goes there for him.
I'm excited.
Everything seemingly,
went well.
Going well.
His wife posted on Instagram, if you guys have seen that, saying that the surgery did go well, but it was pretty upsetting to see Acuna back in that situation with his leg all bandaged up in the brace and all that fun stuff. As
we've talked about, it's not just bad for Braves fans, it's bad for baseball. You don't want one of your marquee stars out of action like that. And everything now, when we talk about Atlanta, has to take into account you started the season with a MVP front runner and a Cy Young front runner.
Before Memorial Day. Both are gone.
Both are gone before Memorial Day. So that's perspective, and we need to keep that perspective in everything we talk about going forward.
Well, speaking of front runners, Marcell Ozuna has continued his streak of quite literally carrying the Braves offense.
Yeah.
Let's just sit in this for a second and talk about how good Ozuna is and where we would be without him.
So leading the National League in home runs,
18.
RBIs,
And OPS now.
OPS as well. So those three big categories, and he's batting 312 while he's doing that. Where would the Atlanta Braves be without Marcell Ozuna? They would be below 500. I feel confident in saying that.
Agreed.
Well, where else is the offense going to come from? If you look at others that contribute, it's real hit or miss. So you'd have, like last night, you had Adam Duvall. And so you might think, yeah, Duvall's hitting it pretty well. And you're like, oh, his batting average is below 200 right now, right?
Right.
There's not a lot of home runs.
No, Austin Riley has 3 home runs.
This is a team that last year was being compared to the 1927
37
Yankees.
Yankees.
1937
Yankees.
Ain't nobody can compare this team to the 1937 Yankees. It's a pretty big drop-off as far as that goes, and Marcel's been carrying the load, and no one yet has come along to even, be a running partner with him in that.
No, I agree. So last night he told AJC beat writer Justin Toscano, this is Ozuna talking, he said, "We got it. I'm there already." So this is referring to the offense. "I'm just waiting for my guys to back me up. Riley and Olsen will be up soon." And we're seeing that from Riley, which is encouraging. He's kind of having those flashes, and hopefully June has always been a successful month for the Braves, speaking over the last few seasons.
Yeah.
Chris Sale was not really off to the best June start. He looks to redeem himself tomorrow night. But overall, June is typically a good month, and they need a fresh start.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Matt Olson, slow start last year. Well, when did he heat up? It was about the middle of June last year where we saw Matt Olson emerge as one of the best players in all of baseball. We look at where is Matt now. He's batting 234. He's got 33 RBIs and 9 home runs. So we're not getting that from him. Ozzy Albies is about average for where he is from a batting average standpoint. He's batting 272, 29 RBIs, 4 home runs. My mother's favorite Atlanta Brave, Ozzy Albies. Austin Riley is the name you mentioned, and I think that could be the next guy to catch fire. I didn't include his stats. I didn't include Sean Murphy's stats. Anyone that's missed significant time due to injury. And so I would love to see Austin be the guy that emerges to come alongside Marcell and start leading that offense.
I agree. Austin Riley said about Ozuna, he's not getting the love he deserves, that's for sure. What he's done for this team so far, he's kept us afloat offensively at times. Well,
if you're leading the league in those major categories, you're going to be an all-star. I don't think there's any way that can't happen.
Right.
But, he's definitely been the MVP of this team so far this season.
Well, you mentioned your mom's favorite player is Ozzy Albies.
Yes.
We have a live studio audience today.
We do.
It's so much fun.
My mother, my father, and my daughter all here today watching the Pennant Grace. And you too can come watch the Pennant Grace at a very, very high price.
You can.
That we will donate to charity.
Of course. You're a charity of choice.
Yes,
naturally.
something like that. Yeah.
You know what we forgot to do?
What's that?
We forgot to tell our listeners who we're sponsored by. This is a great segment into that.
How could you ever forget that? And very important not to forget it now, considering that we are in the Father's Day season. People are buying their Father's Day gifts. That's Rhoback.com. The code PG20 is going to save you 20% at checkout. So that's a significant savings.
That is.
I'm seeing more. I know I mentioned this last time, but I'm seeing more and more Rhoback out. You can always spot the logo on the back under the collar, which I love. But it's not just for men. They got a lot for the ladies.
Yes. Tennis skirts, pullovers. You need a pickleball outfit. You need a cute outfit to go to the golf course in. You just need a lounging outfit. They've got it all. So use our code PG20, and they ship pretty fast too. So if you need a last minute Father's Day gift, we're less than, we have a week and 2 days from Father's Day, right?
That sounds right.
You are the father.
Yeah, I should know those things, but
do you guys have any plans yet?
Well, I just make those for Mother's Day. Father's Day, I'm just along for the ride.
So it's going to be a surprise next Sunday. What y'all are up to?
All a surprise, and we'll see if anyone remembers that it's Father's Day as well.
As he's looking at Millie in the corner.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of families, too, we have some fun Braves news. So the Braves' wives were up to some things. I always love keeping up with what's going on in that capacity. Really just the PJ Tour does a great job, too, of this. The wives are very involved. So the Braves' wives, they actually visited CHOA this week, and they were able to bring lunch and pass out goodies to the hematology and oncology patients. I think that is so cool.
That is. I love that. And I think that's a cool sisterhood as well,
It is.
player wives. No one can understand what they go through except one another, really.
Right.
And so it's cool to see them come together for something like that.
One of my close friends, her name is Anna. She's actually my boyfriend's twin sister, and she is currently dating Ben Joyce, who is in the Angels organization.
Yes.
And I have seen firsthand the stress that those guys are under, the prospect of being called up and then put back down. He actually did just get called up to the Angels again for the second time, I think 2 weeks. First time he did not even get to his flight, but this time it stuck.
Yeah.
So we're very excited about that. We are a Braves show, but we will cheer on our friends.
We're a Ben Joyce show
We
as
are a
well.
Ben Joyce
I'm going to
show.
go ahead and call him future Pennant Grace guest,
Oh,
Ben Joyce.
him and Buster.
Calling my shot.
Yeah, him and Buster are future Braves guest or
Yeah.
Pennant Grace guests. But I say that because the girlfriends and the wives, it's so unpredictable, especially in baseball. Anything can happen. And so it's been fun watching Anna encourage Ben and just the relationship progress, but they've definitely had some ups and downs that come with the reality of being a professional baseball player.
I can
Something that we
imagine.
do not understand,
That's
but
correct,
we
that's
like
right.
to talk about it,
That's
of
right.
course. So let's keep chatting about Ozuna. This is not an Ozuna show, but it seems like the whole season is turning into that. Last October, I found this article, and this is just some fun things to chat about. We are entering trade season, so we're middle of the season, and this is now when we start discussing things like this. So fan-sided Josh Wilson theorized a potential offseason trade earlier this week, and this is in October. Ozuna has 1 year left on his current contract for $18 million, with a team option in 2025 for $16 million. Even though Ozuna comes with some baggage both on and off the field, teams in desperate need of some designated hitting help could be persuaded into taking that final year off the Braves' hands in a trade, risk associated and all. If Ozuna keeps raking it as he has this season, though, it might not even take that much convincing. What are your thoughts on that? Keep in mind, written last October.
No, I don't see it happening. I really don't. You know, and it's interesting because, and we've talked about on the show about starting pitching in the trade deadline. Great article, by the way, at batterypower.com.
They're great.
Really good Atlanta Braves resource. If you haven't read them, that's batterypower.com. And talking about the trade deadline. And one of the things about starting pitching, and everyone thinks you're going to get starting pitching, is you're just
It's expensive.
usually not going to get it. They're going to get, they're the most likely to get overpaid, because of the shortage of good starting pitching, and that's in the off season. And so when you come in the trade deadline, who is going to give up? What would it take to get a rental on a good starter? That has not been Anthopoulos' way about going about business, and I just think I really agree with this article. I think the most likely scenario is that starting pitching is going to come from within the organization.
Yes.
Just the supply and demand for starting pitchers just is not in the Braves' favor, or any team that's looking for that in a trade deadline scenario. So I don't think anything's happening to Marcel for that theory.
No.
But I do think that you'll see the Braves at the trade deadline going for definitely relief pitchers, which that's an Anthopoulos
We've
move.
seen that for sure.
We have. Think of some of the guys that he's brought in a trade deadline from a relief pitcher standpoint, and also from your position players, specifically from your corner outfielders.
Yeah. Soler.
You think, how do you feel about the Braves outfield right now without Ronald Acuna Jr.? I think we just feel a little bit, we'll see. This maybe works for a little bit, but I think we all want to add some depth into that role, and I think the Braves will. So I think they'll be adding a bat in the outfield, and I think they'll be going for a reliever or two.
For sure. And I think, too, when you look at who's all on a roster is naturally going to hold 4 or 5 outfielders. They're not going to hold that many starting pitchers. I mean, they are, but they're not as expendable. That's a better way to phrase that. They're not as expendable. And what that article also brought up was, as the schedule has expanded, playoffs have expanded, it feels like everyone has a chance. So why would you even delve into that with starting pitching? The supply demand of it is just insane. So I think, like you said, it'll take someone stepping up within the organization. He'll add some bolsters in the relieving role. But it is interesting that this was written back in October. And that last sentence, if Ozuna keeps raking it as he has this season, though, it might not even take that much convincing.
I know. So anything can happen in baseball.
It can. And I think he's really good for the culture right now. And I think that even the conversations you're seeing between players about what Ozuna's doing, there's an appreciative level there that I think is really good to have. And it's not, I mean, again, we're outside looking in, but the clubhouse still seems to be in a good spot. There's actually a new phrase that's been coined. So in the beginning, it was together with the hand motion.
Right.
I don't think that's gone away. But according to Ozuna, the phrase right now is "we never give up." That's our phrase.
Okay.
So it would be a really hard press to see him leave that clubhouse. I don't think that AA would change his pattern like that. But again, this is baseball. You never know what's going to happen.
Well, we never give up here at the Pennant Grace either. I know we're going to hit on some injury stuff, but AJ Smith-Shawver is one that comes to mind, right? That we talked about that very small sample size with the one start that he looked great in, that one start. But I think there's a chance that he's back in the later part of the regular season before the playoffs.
Yep.
Hurston Waldrop could get that. And then our current guy that I always forget his name.
Oh, Spencer Schwellenbach.
Yep.
Schwellenbach.
He could play his way into that. I'm glad he's getting another start, which it does look like for sure he's going to get another start, which I think is good. The Braves' top prospects, the top 5 Braves prospects, all right-handed pitchers.
Really?
Yeah. So they have depth there in young arms that I think that they're very big on, some of those guys. And so I just, I don't see – I was convinced they would, and now I'm convinced otherwise that they won't be making a move unless just something falls in their lap in terms of a starting pitcher. But I do think you're going to see some relievers come aboard, and I do think you're going to see some outfield depth come aboard, and that's outfield depth with a bat.
Well, let me give you a trade option of sorts that I saw today that could have some weight to it. So the trade option would be Braves receive Kevin Pillar for Hayden Harris and Ellison Joseph. That'd be pretty interesting.
It would.
So I actually know
see Kevin
Hayden
back
Harris.
in a Braves uniform.
Yes, that'd be great. He's at the peak right now this season for him. But Hayden Harris actually went to Georgia Southern.
Oh.
And I did an interview with him back in October at the beginning of the playoffs. Unfortunately, our show did not last very long, if you guys remember that.
Right.
But yeah, so I thought that was pretty interesting that there's discussion of those guys heading out to the Angels organization to join Ben Joyce.
Statesboro Blues.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah. It was fun to get to catch up with him, and he could also be a future PG guest.
Well, make sure we hit on a new Brave that we haven't talked about, and that's Brian Anderson, the former Marlin.
Yes.
31 years old. He's a 251 career hitter, but the last time he ever played over 100 games is 2019. So he's a bench guy.
Wow.
And from Edmond, Oklahoma, where my wife grew up.
Oh, my goodness.
So got to be good things from him.
That's
so
awesome.
I don't know a whole lot about Brian, but again, that's a new piece that's come in. I'm not sure what all his range is. He's listed as a third baseman. So we'll see. I do think there'll be some more guys coming in on that.
We're definitely going to keep an eye on what he can do. I like what we're seeing. I keep wanting to call him Brian Jordan, but it's Brian Anderson. I don't really know why.
If we could get Brian Jordan in his prime, I would take that. Yeah.
I agree. All right, let's talk about Game 2 tonight in the series with the Nats. So Chris Sale back on the mound.
Yeah, I think Chris Sale bounces back tonight. I think we see a good start. I think that he has gained the confidence of Braves fans, and I don't think that he's a guy that you're going to see make too many bad starts. That top 3 for Atlanta, for all the struggles of the Braves, has been really solid with him, Ronaldo Lopez, and Max Fried, who's been absolutely incredible.
Yeah. So for the Nats, Jake Irvin will be on the mound, and he had a really solid start against the Braves.
He did.
He had a season high with 10 strikeouts. I hate when that stat is against us, but statistically, he's basically had 2 really solid starts and then 2 pretty average ones. And if that holds true, tonight will work in our favor. Yeah,
that's a lot of strikeouts. Max, by the way, 13 in Fenway earlier this week, which is a career high there. I think, again, you got to beat bad teams. Mm-hmm. And the Nats aren't a terrible team.
No,
but they're a below 500 team, and you have to beat them. You really have to, put your foot on the gas here. Let's, go ahead and take them out.
I agree. Now, Chris Sale also, he did not face the Nats last week. He's the only guy in the rotation. So keep that in mind. In his last start with them, that was last season, I guess. So he has not seen them in quite some time. But when we talk about his poor June start, I want to put things into perspective. So he gave up 8 runs against the A's, and in the month of May alone, he only allowed 2 earned runs.
Yeah. Yeah, again, I think a good bounce back for Chris. Uncle Charlie, how does he do? You really had worst start of the season for him, followed by what was probably his best start of the season. He looked really good last time out. So we'll see what happens there. But, again, I think that's you need to gain some ground against these either slightly below or middle of the road teams.
Yeah, and the Phillies keep doing what the Phillies are doing. We're now 7.5 games back when we're recording this. It's Friday, June 7th. And so we're going to, again, keep trying to gain ground on teams that it is an option to do so.
Yeah, and you put the Braves in a different division, and they may be leading or 1 or 2 games back in that division. You just so happen to be in a division where the Philadelphia Phillies have emerged as this elite team right now.
For sure. This just reminded me, last Friday I put out a poll on our social media accounts. If you're not following us at the Pennant Grace, please go do so. We would love to have you over there. We do giveaways. We do fun polls. We just really want to interact with you guys. And I asked, at this point in the season, as a Braves fan, would you rather have the wild card or the division title? And it really was not as close as I thought it'd be. I thought it would be kind of skewed one way. It was pretty even. But we ourselves have not talked about that.
Yeah, and I voted for division, and everything else tells me that that's not what I should vote for. It should be the wild card. That's just been more successful.
Right. Well, and some people were confused why we're even posing the point. And we pose it because historically, I don't say historically because it's, again, small sample size, but it has appeared that teams that get that wild card spot have performed better because there's no long break in between.
Yeah.
So I think it was the Orioles, the Braves, the Dodgers, and one other team, it was 4 of them, that just did not perform well having that break. But those wild card teams seemed to find their groove. They didn't lose momentum. That's why I'm going to go wild card.
It may have been Milwaukee. I'm not sure. But
I think it was, yeah.
I think most people don't like the current format, and I don't think that it'll stand the test of time. It'll have to end up getting tweaked, but I don't know, just the comfort in winning your division.
Right, and there is some discussion that, the Braves aren't winning any other titles, so might as well hang that banner, but I don't love that way of thinking.
I don't either. Nobody does.
But, all right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for us over on the Pennant Grace. Our second live show. I love it. Or I guess our third live show.
Yeah.
Our second live show in the studio.
Right.
First one was in our little corner.
Our little corner of the world.
It is.
Yeah.
Where the magic happens.
That's right.
But use code PG20 for 20% off your Rowback order. Father's Day is right around the corner, and it's summertime. So you need the cute outfits, girls. You need the pickleball outfits, the golf outfits. You name it, order some loungewear. Rowback has got it all.
All right. See you next time.
See you guys next time.